soldiers and just probing that particular situation. And of course, this has been a conversation that has been also in Parliament. And in studio, I'm joined by Mwangi Macharia. He's the chair of Africa Center for Corrective and Preventive Action. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you, Chair, for hosting me.
Right, let's start off, of course, with just people wanting to understand what this whole outrage is all about. Tell us a bit about what this British military abuses in Laikipia is all about.
One is to thank you for hosting me and for giving us this opportunity to tell the world what is happening in the country in relation to atrocities that are being committed against the people of Laikipia, Samburu and Isiolo by the British Army. One, there has been a lot of issues since independence. And I want to take you into 1952 when there was horror massacre in Kenya. That is 1950s. The British government, through the colonial governor then, rejected that the people were being killed in horror. Total cover-up. But it took an effort, initiative by the one Labour MP, Barbara Castle, to expose the killings of Kenyans by the colonial army then.
Yeah. The
governor then said that Kenyans were dying out of contamination and fights in the camp. So it's a history. There's a history behind these cover-ups by the British Army. And 1952 now, we're in 2023.
Right.
These cover-ups are still going on. This effort started in 2021 when I and some community leaders in Laikipia filed a case in Laikipia. It has never happened before since 1963, but we said since our grandfather attempted what they did in 1950s, we, the generations, the second generation, will have to do something.
I want to take you back a bit. Why do you think this is the situation and nothing is really being done?
Definitely, it has been laxity by the government of Kenya. All these things have been happening under careful watch of the government of Kenya. When we filed this, government of Kenya never even bothered to file any response in court. There has been conspiracy against Kenyans by the government in protecting the interest of the British Army and protecting the British government until we said enough is enough, and we took a lawsuit in Laikipia.
Right.
They denied all allegations. They say they never caused fire. They wrote affidavits claiming that that fire was not caused by them. Luckily, a member of parliament in House of Commons, who is our friend, made questions to the British secretary in charge of defense and armed forces. And they said they are the one who caused. In fact, the secretary says not only one fire, but 5 fires.
Right.
5 from 2015. And there has never been any issue coming out from government of Kenya. Yes, the British Army has been in this country.
Right.
They've been partnering with Kenya Defense Forces in the whole training of our soldiers to capacity build them and give them training to tackle security challenges, even modern one. But we cannot cover the crimes.
You seem very passionate about this.
I'm very passionate.
Why is this? Do you have any specific relation to it, or what really makes you passionate about
Personally, I'm passionate because my grandfather was in Manyani.
Okay.
He was jailed there 7 years in Manyani. So he's a victim of previous army. So see, now, personally, now I know what's happening. I'm part of the global community. So I have right to defend my people. This is something that is serious in me. I felt this when no one could file. Even the Kenyan government were wondering, who is this? What are they doing? Who can sue a British army?
Right.
We did it because we know our constitution is very clear. We are a sovereign country. We cannot allow people to come here and mess with our sovereignty.
Tell us, just briefly, maybe in just point form, what are some of the issues, that are some of the concerns to the local communities when it comes to the British Army there?
The most visible atrocity that's been committed is sexual violence against our women, against our young girl. There's the issue of Agnes Wanjiru,
Yes.
who was brutally murdered. We are talking about 12 years. Nothing has ever happened. No soldier has been extradited to face charges in Kenya. Government of Kenya, they are busy saying that they are doing something. But when we are asking questions, they are doing nothing. The High Commission is not responsive to our issues. Until now, we have lawyers in UK who are pursuing that matter in partnership with our local lawyers, Mr. Tom Mashari, who is coming in for them to pursue the matter. There's one major issue that nobody is touching on these violations.
Right.
Since the fire, we have lost 70 victims, 70 claimants. And the Kenyan government knows it. 70 people are dead
Because of the fires.
Because of the fire. You can imagine a fire in a village, just in a location, for 7 days. People are being choked. People are being choked day and night. It was like an Armageddon. It was a hellfire.
So has it been reported? Were you going to the police officers and saying
Yes.
What is the response? And what are the responses?
They are saying they are still investigating. There are still there's conversations that are ongoing between Kenyan government and the UK government. There are lawyers here. We presented our claims in December for close to 5,000 people, 6,000 people. Nothing has happened.
Yeah.
People are dying, waiting for compensation. We are talking about 70 people. People are talking about Agnes Wanjiru. It's a very serious issue. But we have 70 people who are already in graves, courtesy of the fire that was lit by those British soldiers. So we thank you, KTN, for hosting us, because we want to tell the world that all is not well. And that's why this issue is finding a lot of interest in the global media than the local media.
Let's go back to the response away from the Kenyan government.
Yes.
Has the British government responded to this?
British government, after the fire, after we fought in court for 2 years, for 3 years, until they lost the case. And the judge directed that the community and the victims be compensated adequately and promptly. It's now 1 year plus. Nothing has happened. There is a amorphous organization called IGLC, Intergovernmental Liaison Committee. We don't even know where it sits. It has no office. Yet the Kenyan government, through parliament, they have stated that this dispute will be sorted at IGLC. But we even don't know where it is. We're just conversing lawyers writing love letters to each other. When people are dying like flies in Laikipia.
Right. I mean, I want to get from your perspective,
Yes.
what role do you actually think the British Army then is playing being in Laikipia? So apart from the negative that we're really seeing,
Yes.
is there any positive to them being
Definitely, there are
what
positives.
What are some of the positives?
There are positives. They are training, they are capacity building our soldiers, our KDFs. We respect them. Our men and women are in uniform. They are doing a good job.
Right.
But we cannot underscore the fact that there are things that are going on, and we cannot. We are seeking for sustainable training activities. I know the commanders are watching, but we want sustainable training. That's all what we're asking. But if they cannot continue respecting our sovereignty, our laws, then they have no business of being in this country. There is not a country in Africa that has a base in Europe or in America or Asia.
Yes.
This continent is littered with over 50 bases for various countries. Today in Niger, French has been chased out by the locals.
Right.
They are being chased. We don't want to reach a point whereby, as a country, we are demonstrating to chase these soldiers from the British.
Because that was going to be my next question. Are you insinuating that they should be removed out of
We
the
are
country?
in an era of sustainable development. That is critical. But we have a situation whereby there is no sustainable training. Bombs are being lit. They are left over especially in Samburu.
So
Young
which means
kids
there's
are dying
also-
out of those ammunitions that are left unexploded.
Is it because now that causes environmental concerns? Or
That's a major issue.
tell us about that.
The environmental issue, actually, that is what actually made me very furious. This training is going on in our water catchment area. They are using weapons that we are not aware of. We are talking about use of white phosphorus. It has negative. It has been banned.
Right.
It's being used in Kenya. This is a water catchment area for more than 100,000 people. Those chemicals are percolating in the soils, finding their way to the rivers, which are being consumed by Kenyans. So it is an issue that is very serious. They are training in a conservancy, wildlife conservancy.
Right.
A wildlife conservancy business is protection of fauna and flora.
Don't you think then the government is aware of this? And if
Actually,
they're aware, they're not doing anything about it? Have you gone to report? And is there any specific department that you've talked to when it comes to this issue, especially the government?
When we filed this suit, we brought in Kenya Forest Service, Kenya World Service, National Environmental Management Authority. There is not a government agency that filed any response because of fear. This is what they are protected. They are protected by the political elites in this country. They are protected. Some of them are beneficiaries. So they are protected, so no one talks until we gathered courage with community members. My friend Kubai, Wakili Tom Mashari.
Right.
We felt this matter to open up a conversation. Today is a global concern. It is hitting all international media. And we thank our parliament because they have also gathered courage.
Tell us about what parliament is doing, because the conversation we've been having here for some time now is that the government is not really doing much. Yeah? But you've talked about parliament bringing it up. Tell us what the parliament is trying to do.
This is the second intervention by a parliament in Commonwealth from UK in 1952 when they said Barbara Castle. She raised a question on who is killing Kenyans. They said no one is killing them, they are drinking contaminated water and they are fighting each other until the colonial secretary admitted that they are killing them. Now, another intervention is by now this parliament. And thank you to the chairman, Koech, because he's the one who has gathered the courage to open an inquiry and invite Kenyans, organizations,
right,
to bring issues, not only negative issues, even positive issues, which can be discussed, and how we can enrich this defense cooperation agreements with other countries. We have a situation, you saw it last month in Marindi, where a space station that cannot allow our members of parliament to visit. In this country, a sovereign, independent country, 60 years later, a parliamentary committee in charge of defense is not allowed to visit an installation that is owned by Italians. So it is high time now our parliament realize that we are an independent country. We do not have a military base in the United Kingdom. They cannot allow Kenya to have a military base in Scotland.
You've also rightfully said that there are some positives to this.
There are positives.
But you know, when you talk about like diplomatic ties now between Kenya and Britain, for instance, if you say that this needs to be done, some justice has to prevail out of this whole situation, how do you then balance between what you're calling justice now and the diplomatic ties between these two countries?
Definitely just everyone to play within their league and respect the rule of law. You cannot come into this country, murder our women and leave the country. It has been established that some of these soldiers were high on cocaine. It is on record in the British House of Commons. It is on the Hansards. Your researchers can get it.
Right.
How did the cocaine get into this country? It's soldiers. They don't access. How did it get into these areas? And they were even celebrating. They have killed Jubos. You know, we are having a situation whereby we need to strengthen oversight agencies to see what are they doing, which weapons are they doing to train. Are they respecting our environment? Are they respecting our culture?
Right.
Are they respecting our community? If it's a Kenyan who killed a lady in United Kingdom, he could be rotting in jail there.
I want to have a quick question here.
Yes.
In your opinion then, why, because you've really cited how all this information is in the House of Commons in the UK, why don't we have that information here in Kenya?
One is that it's all about leadership. It's all foreign to leadership.
It's what, sorry?
Leadership. It's a leadership issues. You know, members of parliament getting intimidated by the executive not to ask hard questions. But our friends in the UK, in the Scotland, asking hard questions. In the House of Commons, on the floor of the House, asking the Prime Minister. Prime Minister here, he has some roots from this country. He's supposed to be the one defending us.
Right.
The current Prime Minister.
Rishi Sunak, yes.
Yeah, he has a background from this country. He has not visited, he has not commented, he is not even doing anything. Yeah, so we find ourselves left in the masses of gods. But it is now leadership to take proactive role and protect Kenyans. And not only Kenya, Africans. We have bases all over the Africa. And we salute the Kenyan Parliament Committee in charge of defense because it's the first in Africa. And we are going to support others. We would support others to bring into account these foreign occupying forces which are not respectful to our culture, to our environment, and to our laws.
You know, away from now what the leadership should do, maybe now in your capacity, what are you doing, especially when it comes to the community, to make them aware of the situation of what's happening? Have you also tried to talk to the British Army yourself?
Last time the minister in charge of defense, James Hippie, came to this country. We were supposed to be invited at the barracks. They never invited. They went for some few compliant individuals like in Nanyuki and Isiolo. The previous governor has been very bold. Muriithi, he's a great man. He did a very good job to protect his people. But I can tell you, we have faced intimidations. Some of our committee members in those sites were arrested April last year. With orders coming from above. We were told the orders to arrest them came from above. We've been intimidated completely, but we're not cowing down until we bring justice to our people and we bring these forces to account. Because we are human, they're also human. Right. The color should not be an issue, whether you are white or black. No. We want sustainable training and our soldiers to get good training, but everyone to respect. Another person space.
With all the accusations and everything that you've said, there's no compensation process in all this?
We are talking about a lady, Agnes Ojiro, a very young. She left a 5-month-old baby. She never had an opportunity to call her mommy. Most of witnesses are now dead. 12 years later, everyone knows the story. It's all over. The family living in abject poverty in slums of Laikipia. We are talking about impunity that is offensive. It's repulsive. It's stinking. So these are the things that are, encouraging us to fight more. Pursue these issues in every platform. We are planning to go to UK in October. If they're not going to do something by September, we are planning to go to UK. We'll present this petition. Paulo Muite did, and other NGOs when they were fighting for Mau Mau.
Yeah, because I wanted to come back to that and just ask, I mean, looking back at history, do you think there's going to be any success, even going to the UK and trying to get justice out of this whole situation? Because we're talking about also Mau Mau, remember, going to the UK, and we saw even them demonstrating at some point.
Yes.
Do you think there's going to be any headway or any success when it comes to this?
I can see correspondences between our lawyers and them. They are doing something, but the Wananchi cannot wait. They are dying. We are saying 70 people are dead.
Right.
They were waiting for compensation. And most of them are even old people. All those pregnant women who are during the fire, some even did miscarriage. The kind of data that we have is shocking. It's shocking, And instead of them sorting out this mess and clean their mess, they are trying to play games.
You've talked about the data. Is it, did you research as a team, or how did you come up with the data of that information? We have
consultants whom we engaged, and we paid. Even members of community contributed. To have this. We have a registered expert who have that report. It's available. We can share with you. It's in public. British government, British Army contracted some consultants here in Westlands. They have a terrible data also. It is shared. It was there last week in the media.
Right.
They say the fire, not only fire went up to Lake Victoria, not only in Samburu and Isiolo. The smoke went even to Lake Victoria. And our issue are, since the fire happened when they were doing the training, had they evacuated these weapons? What kind of toxic smoke was this?
Right.
Most people in that last side of Laikipia, they have eye issues. Young kids, they have problem with their eyesight. What do we mean? Some part time we can't even read Bible. We used to read Bible well, now we can't. So we have to work together. Government, non-government, NGOs, FBOs. We see how we bring justice to our people. Because
my final question.
It is not fair.
My final question now then, if you were to talk to the government directly from here, what would you want them to do?
One, I want to tell the government not to stop the inquiry that is coming, because there has been a lot of effort to sabotage it, local and international, to cover up issue. Right. Let people talk. It can be a win-win for everyone, including them. We are now in an open environment. Let people talk. Let people have conversations. We may even invite other, forces. We give them some land to do training. Maybe we can bring Chinese, other people. We give them land elsewhere. We have based in Lamu by